What's up, Skillshot4 here. Today I'm going to be answering that question that everyone is asking. How do I not suck at Valorant? The answer is pretty simple. You just get good. It's not that hard. You just get good. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. But seriously, how do you not suck? Well, there are a lot of things that go into not sucking, and I'm going to be talking about a lot of them today. So hopefully this helps you out and it helped you to improve the game. So the first thing that you guys can do to play a little bit better is to warm up right before you hop into a match. This is a really big one that a lot of newer players don't do. When you first hop on Valorant for the day, your aim isn't going to be as sharp and you're not going to be in the zone. It'll really help you out if you warm up against bots for a couple minutes before you hop into a match. Believe me, no one wants to be that guy that whiffs an entire mag and never hits the enemy once, and so warming up is a really great way to avoid that. Unless you're me, of course. I never warm up. I'm just that good. In fact, sometimes I don't even use both my hands. Most of the time I just use one. But you know, not everyone can be me. Now, the second thing that can help you guys to not suck at Valorant is to practice good crosshair placement. I have been doing a ton of research lately, and my studies have shown that your chances of killing an enemy drastically increase if you actually have the crosshair on them. This means that it's super important to always have your crosshair where the enemy could be. You should make sure that as you go around the map, you always have your crosshair placed at head level. If your crosshair is not at head level, and if it's not looking where an enemy could be, then once an enemy appears, you're going to have to flick all the way over to them, where you just put the crosshair on their head and then click. However, if you have really good crosshair placement, you simply just have to click the mouse and that's it. If you have good crosshair placement, you're going to be killing the enemy a lot faster and you're going to win a lot more gunfights. Now, like I said, you always want to have the crosshair where the enemy could be. You have to remember that people often wide peek angles, and you're not going to be able to kill them if you hold really tight angles and place your crosshair right next to an entrance. So just remember as you're playing to try to keep your crosshair right where the enemy's head could be, and I promise that you'll see a noticeable improvement in your performance. Now, the next thing that you can do to not completely suck at the game is to communicate more. Imagine this, you're defending on bomb site A on the map Haven. You're just watching an angle waiting for the enemy to walk into your line of sight. 30 seconds go by and suddenly, spike has been planted on C. Apparently the player defending C site cannot find his push to talk key. Which is pretty ironic if you think about it, because your teammate is playing Jet and all they know how to do is mash their keyboards to move around really fast because they come from Fortnite. This situation could have been easily avoided if your teammate had simply called out that the enemies were pushing onto C site. Don't be that teammate. Don't be the guy that never tells any of your other teammates what the heck is going on. Valorant is a team-based game, which means you actually have to communicate with your team. So you always have to make sure that you're giving a ton of callouts and giving all of your teammates all the necessary information. And you also have to make sure that the information that you're giving out is correct. If you only see or hear a couple pushing a certain site, do not yell out they're all pushing onto B site. There may only be 2 enemies pushing onto B site, and now your entire team has rotated and they can easily plant on A site. Make sure that all the callouts you give are 100% accurate. Also, there's almost no such thing as too much communication. If you see an enemy was carrying spike, call it out. If you see that enemies may be on an eco, call it out. If you see or hear anything, let your teammates know. You're all going to play a lot better with the more information you guys have. Oh, and screaming into the mic like a 12-year-old brat is not considered effective communication. Now, another tip I have for you guys is to take risks. Don't be a chicken.
What's wrong, McFly? Chicken?
Now, I'm not saying that you should be an idiot and just charge in blindly trying to kill all the enemies. That is not a smart risk to take. What I'm saying is when there's a situation that has a lot of risk but a potentially very large payoff, you should consider taking that risk, because taking that risk could make the difference between winning or losing the round. Let me give you an example. Let's say that your teammate is defending on A site and he sees or hears 3 enemies pushing in. You have the chance to flank all the way around and try to catch the enemies by surprise. Now this is a really risky play because if they're expecting this and they're watching for that flank, they could shut you down and then you're missing another teammate to try to retake the site. However, if you succeed in this flank, you could potentially kill 2 or 3 of the enemies and drop the spike. If you were to succeed, this would 100% secure the round and you would win. In situations such as these, you have to weigh the benefits and the consequences to determine what would be the best course of action. If you guys are dirt poor and really don't have a lot of good guns, then you don't have a lot to lose. Go ahead and go for that flank. However, if you have 3 players defending a site and you have the large monetary advantage, then you should probably just rotate back and support your teammates. You have to make these quick decisions to determine whether or not that risk is actually a smart one to take. But too many times players get really scared of the enemy and they don't take enough risks. So I would encourage you to take advantage of more opportunities that could give you the upper hand. Learning to properly do this will make you a much stronger player. The next bit of advice that I have for you guys is to try to work on improving your positioning. What I mean by this is that you should always be careful that you're not exposing yourself to too many angles. As a general rule, the only place you should be able to be shot from is the exact place that you're looking. If you are in a position that allows you to be shot from a position that you are not currently looking at, then you're basically a sitting duck. Make sure that there can only be one point where you come in contact with the enemy, and that point is directly where you're looking. Positioning also has to do with your spatial awareness. As you move about the map performing flanks or rotates, or simply pushing up or falling back, always think in your mind about where the enemy could be. Think, could they get to this position and be waiting for me? Could they be expecting my flank and be sitting in a corner camping like a loser who lives in his mother's basement? Always be aware of what the enemy could be doing and try to prepare for that. Never get yourself into a position that you can't get yourself out of. And once again, always make sure that you're not going to be shot from any angle other than the angle right in front of you. If you can really learn to master your positioning, you're going to be dying a whole lot less, which your teammates will appreciate and the enemy will not. Alright, so that pretty much wraps it up for all my tips. I had a lot of other tips that I considered putting in this video, but I think these are the most important and the most essential. If you really focus on improving everything that I've talked about in this video, then you will become a better player. But most important guys, like everything else, improvement comes with time and dedication. If you really put the time and effort in to get better at the game, then you're going to see yourself improving and it's going to be a really enjoyable experience. And if you guys are interested in seeing more tips, maybe even some of the tips that I didn't put in this video, please comment down below and I will make that video. Oh, and one more thing. You guys are always going to be noobs until you hit that big subscribe button and leave a like. Thank you all for watching and I will see you next time.